Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Teslam, and I'm the thyroid naturopath, and I'm very excited about delivering this part 2 series of digestion in our 3-part series, which is really doing a deep dive across 3 live trainings, all about digestion and the relationship between the importance of digestion and our thyroid wellness. So last week, I spoke very much about different habits and eating and the salivary glands beginning to break down the carbohydrates and different ways that the hydrochloric acid breaks down nutrients in food, and pretty much spoke about upper digestive tract. So today I'm going to be focusing on our beautiful enzymes and the role they have to play in detoxification, as well as the accessory organs, and the importance of doing a regular detox if you have a thyroid challenge. So I'm going to get into all of that in a moment. So if you're coming on, let me know. Hello, we've got a few people here. Fantastic. I can tell you here. I just don't know who you are. So say hello, type in the comments, I'm here. And also I'd love to know where you're from. Yeah, so where are you streaming in from? And if you're watching this replay, just do a hashtag replay so that I know that you've watched this. I reached out to a few people that I feel that this topic would be really, really good for today. All right, so let's get into it. So today is a special edition, part 2, optimizing our digestion and detox system for thyroid wellness. So essentially, we want this system, which is a several part system. It actually is working 24/7. It does not stop. However, especially once we craft our dietary and lifestyle blueprint, but even before then, if we're aware of which foods help to fortify this system and which foods clog it up, I mean, most people know which foods clog it up, well, then we're already a step in front, yeah? And then if we couple that with some timed and structured detox or clean eating plan, a couple of times a year, or ideally I like to do it personally once a quarter, at the beginning of each quarter as an example, or at the end of each quarter, that is just, it will give you a really, really great advantage. And it also allows you to check in on those, little habits that creep back in. Because, we're only human, and sometimes when we're feeling good, we think, oh, this is okay. And then we think, oh, that was fine the other day, so it's probably okay today. And then before you know it, it becomes another habit, right? And then over time, you're like, oh, yeah, I don't feel as good as what I did, right? So it's all about working with our beautiful foods in a way that they fortify our system. We obtain the nutrients and the flavors, and we really enjoy those foods. And at the same time, they're actually helping us detox day by day, right? So let's get into it. So first of all, I'm just going to say, oh, hey, Linda. Linda's here. Great to see you today, Linda. And Deb's here. Fantastic. And Sharon, awesome. Fantastic. Good. I know that it's not random people. Yeah, awesome. All right. So, of course, ask any questions along the way. I've got the chat open here, so I will certainly look at your comments along the way. So let's get into it. So we're essentially moving on from last week. So essentially after the food has gone through from the stomach, which is what I call the hopper, or the washing machine, where the protein is broken down. And then, it actually, the pH of our digestive system switches then. It goes to very alkaline from the acidic pH of the stomach, which is required to break down all of the protein. And the reason for that pH changes is to help break down the other macronutrients and essentially start to absorb in our small intestine, we start to absorb all of our micronutrients as well as our macronutrients. So essentially we have our pancreatic amylase, which consists of so many different enzymes, but I'm just going to talk about, we don't need to get into the nitty gritty. It's not a biochemistry class. However, the pancreas is so important. Like the pancreatic we know about that for, insulin and all of that. If you don't know, it actually is the producer of insulin and glucagon. However, it's very, very important for digestive enzyme processes. And, they've actually also done studies that have shown that pancreatic amylase, or the pancreatic enzymes, actually help in instances of cancer, chronic inflammation, autoimmune conditions, to help with that complement cascade, which is part of the immune system that kind of turns on itself. I won't get into, it's way more complex than that, but just giving you a little bit of a broad picture there. So it's just really, really important to just kind of cleave off and break everything down, essentially. All right. And if our, some of us don't produce as much pancreatic amylase, and that's just a genetic thing. It also tends to decrease as we age. And, sometimes we just need that helping hand to really break down our food. So when we know that that is a system that's not quite up to scratch, we can certainly supplement for a finite period of time. And there are many different supplements, but there are also foods that actually contain naturally occurring enzymes, right? So if you were to eat foods such as pineapple, kiwi fruit, and pawpaw, right? Those three fruits actually contain naturally occurring enzymes, all right? So as long as you don't have food inflammation or allergy with any of those foods, that would be advantageous to draw into your diet. The other thing that really instigates the secretion of these enzymes are all of the bitter foods. I mentioned this last week, and I'm going to mention it again, because as a society, we just don't eat enough bitters. So the bitter foods are all the things like your endive and your rocket and baby spinach and squeeze of lemon, right? Apple cider vinegar, all of these types of foods. Now, if you have a digestive issue and you're really unsure and some of these foods have caused problems, well, that's okay. There's just that there's other things going on. And sometimes it's a timed thing. Sometimes we need to help fortify a different area of the digestive tract before this area should be fortified, right? So we just need to balance it all out. And it's also tailored to your individual health picture. I'm just going to have a cup of tea. I'm just going to take a breath for a sec. Check this tea out. How beautiful is that? It's got a little heart on the end. And I just found this. I had it for a while. This is pine needle tea. Does it have anything to do with detoxification? Possibly. Not really. However, it's a potent antioxidant, and I'm just sipping on this because we're entering into the cold weather. And for those of you who are really trying to fortify their immune system, pine needle tea, organic of course, is so good for the immune system. Pine needle is really, really great for sore joints, arthritis type conditions, autoimmune, allergy, sensitive type conditions. Now, I've had it for a while and I forgot about it. It was just kind of at the back. All the other teas were in front, and I found it today. I thought, oh, that'd be perfect on a cold wintry night that we have here. And it's really rich in antioxidants and vitamin C. And in terms of detoxification, vitamin C is really, really important because it helps to quench free radicals. And the free radicals are all those little scavengers, that are kind of like floating around in our body, and they are there every day, 24/7. So if we can get in antioxidants on a day-to-day basis and vitamin C, well, we're actually helping our detoxification pathways. See, I knew I could thread it through. Not directly related to detoxification. Who here has tried pine needle tea? If not, I recommend go and get some. It's not a strong flavor, not at all. It's a little bit herbaceous, but it's got so many goods involved in it. So give it a crack. All right. I didn't actually have a sip after that. Yeah, it's really good. So get out your herbal teas. All right, let's get back into it. Okay, so moving on from the pancreatic amylase, we also have our beautiful gallbladder, which stores bile produced in the liver and squirts it out when our body is digesting food. So essentially, it breaks down the fats. So we want good amounts of bile. If you've had your gallbladder removed, you still have bile. It's just that instead of it squirting out in one big chute when at the cue of digestion, it will just like drip feed from the liver. So it's not quite as potent when you're actually eating the food. But there are ways around that. There are ways to help, help with the digestion of fats. Now, the gallbladder or the bile isn't just for the digestion of fats. It helps our body detoxify because everything that's been processed in the liver comes back into the bowel for removal. So bile helps to sequester these fragments like hormones, metabolites of drugs, and drugs meaning medications, and all these other things, environmental toxins, to help remove them from the body. Now, it's not only bile. We've also got our beautiful beta-glucuronidase, which is an enzyme in the bowel that actually helps. It's actually part of phase 3 liver detoxification, so it helps remove toxins through the bowel. And our bowel and our large intestine, which is our bowel, is really, really important, because if it's not working well, what happens is all these like metabolites or little toxins that have been processed by the liver for removal, what happens is they circulate back in through the digestive tract. So if your bowel or your digestive large intestine is not working properly, i.e. you're not going to the loo to do a number 2 every day, well, that potentially could be a problem. And that could actually cause, literally clog up other detoxification pathways and cause issues such as skin inflammation, such as eczema, dermatitis, psoriasis, or just pruritus, which is itchy skin. It can also cause issues with worsening allergy type symptoms. All right. Apart from that, it can make you feel really, really sluggish and fatigued and cause a lot of digestive distress. So we want that part of our system. So I've kind of talked about a few different parts. So I've talked about the bile in the gallbladder. I've talked a little bit about the liver. I'm going to go into that a little bit more in a moment. And I've just talked about the large intestine there. So we want to make sure that we're getting plenty of fiber. Like we actually only consume about, we as in like the human population, the Western human population typically only consume about 1/5 or even more than that, 1/6 the amount of fiber compared to our predecessors. Isn't that amazing? Like, that's hardly anything. So, the food and dietary guidelines say to eat 6 to 8 cups of vegetables per day for adequate fiber, as well as it has like bread right up there, which I don't agree with. However, we'll get to that in a moment. You can get all your fiber through your nuts and seeds, all your different vegetables, your cruciferous vegetables. Again, as long as there isn't an issue with your glucuronidation pathway, your sulfation pathway, which you wouldn't know unless you did some testing. These types of vegetables are fantastic to have on a daily basis, all your broccoli and your cauliflower and all of those types of things. So, yeah, look, if you're feeling like you need a bit more guidance there and you're unsure and you do feel a bit funny after certain foods, it's really important to get that clarified and just, get a deeper understanding of what's actually going on in your body. That's my belief. And then you can have the food freedom because you know what's working and what's not working. Yeah, so if you've had allergy symptoms or you're unsure with what foods are right for you, especially with a thyroid condition, because I know there's a lot of information out there that says don't have cruciferous because they contain goitrogens. Well, I'm telling you now, the amount of goitrogens you get that from that, unless you're having raw broccoli every single day, is really minuscule. So we make sure that we cook the foods well, and essentially that is a really, really healthy food, and it's not going to impact our thyroid as long as our thyroid is well supported by all of the other nutrients. All right, and essentially what goitrogens do, or the cruciferous family of vegetables do, and there are other goitrogens such as your soy and other types of things, which I'm not really going into at the moment, because I want to stay on track with detoxification. They actually, what happens is they compete with iodine. So, we just make sure we have enough iodine. So it's not like, we don't want to demonize these foods that are really healthy for us, and they are grown in the soil and they're real foods. Yeah. I find that there's a lot of misinformation out there. So if you're really wanting to get some clarity, just type clarity and we can have a 10-minute chat and discuss what you're doing to get a little bit of clarity for you moving forward. And then if you feel like from there you'd like to explore this further, we can discuss what that would look like. Yeah, so just type clarity. Right, getting back to detoxification. The liver. Oh, don't we just love our liver? Fantastic. Now, if you've had a liver function test and everything is normal, it doesn't mean that your liver is functioning optimally. It just means that there's no fatty liver and no disease state, right? So we want to make sure that our liver is doing its job properly through balanced pathways of phase 1, liver detoxification, phase 2, liver detoxification. So phase 1 typically breaks down all of those things, pretty much anything that goes in the body, through our airways, through our skin, through our digestive tract. Anything, any which way it comes into our body, it has to be processed by the liver. Okay? Really, really important. And, if our liver's not doing a good job, sometimes it can affect our lymphatic system, it can affect our skin system, it can affect our urinary system, with UTIs, etc., skin with inflammatory skin conditions, lymphatic system with, puffiness and just feeling really fatigued and a bit yuck. So it's really important to have those balance. So, for example, phase 1, it will break down the medications and hormones, as an example, and toxicants like phthalates, your BPAs, or your other type like particulate matter and all those other types of environmental toxins that come through our food and our airways, which we cannot escape. Yeah, the plastic particles in the water, as an example, if you don't have a water filtration system, heavy metals, all of this needs to be cleaned up by the liver. All right. So the liver is really important. Once phase 1 is complete, we want phase 2 to come in very, very quickly, because phase 2 actually conjugates, which means it latches on to create a molecule that's actually more water soluble so that it can go out through either the urinary system or through the digestive system, all right, through the bowel. Yeah, hence our waste products, all right? So it's really important. And the other thing that I might mention as well, especially for the women, with our hormones, it's really important that we know that our estrogen is actually being broken down and removed safely down what I call the good pathway, because there's 3 pathways. There's the good pathway, the medium pathway, and the bad or the naughty pathway. And the naughty pathway, we don't want that to be the focus point, because that just means, that actually means that there's a little bit more risk of hormone type cancers. All right. So that's why it's really important. And we can do that through testing. Like I don't do that type of testing with everybody. I only do that type of testing if there's a major concern for the way that estrogen is actually metabolized. And it's really important, I feel, to know how that's actually been broken down and removed by the body, so that we can then support that pathway, support the area that may need support. All right. So testing is not scary. All it is information. Information is great because then we marry that information with your specific clinical picture. And from that, we get a plethora of information to move forward with a treatment plan that's tailored for you. Yeah. So if that's something that you're interested in discussing, any type of testing, like there's so many different types of tests, and I don't have like one set of tests that I do for everybody. I choose the test for the person in front of me. It's really, really important. I choose the test that's best for the person that's sitting in front of me. So whether it's for wherever your hole in the bucket is, wherever your weak point is, okay? And generally there's a few tests that we've kind of got all those angles. So if you're interested in discussing more about testing and what that would look like for you with what's going on with your body at the moment with respect to your thyroid challenges, just type testing. And then again, there's an invitation there for us to have a quick chat, completely obligation free, just so you can get a little bit more of a glimpse of how I may be better placed to support you along your journey from here on in. All right, so that's just there and available. All right, so let's move on. So we've done a little bit about pancreatic amylase, a little bit about the bile, we've done a little bit about the liver, we've talked a bit about the bowel. I just also want to talk about skin. Okay, so with our skin, we want to make sure that we're just using really, really clean products, because whilst our digestive system is the focus point for detoxification, we want, anything that's not being processed properly, we want clear pathways through the skin, okay? So what we don't want to do is we don't want to put on like those really cheap, nasty chemist type products that have all these synthetic chemicals. So that's my huge recommendation, especially for thyroid wellness, because we absorb through to the bloodstream as well. So it's both ways. Anything that's more water soluble, of course, we don't absorb too much through the skin. Otherwise, if we went for a swim in the ocean, we'd fill up like a water balloon, and we don't do that. So, but it's the fat soluble, because the fat from the fat from the molecule in, for example, the skin cream, it actually mixes with the sebum, which is our naturally occurring oil on the surface of the skin, and then it diffuses down in through the capillary network and then through the systemic network. So we do absorb through our skin. One thing that I will recommend is, if you love your essential oils, as long as you know how to safely make beautiful blends, that is a great way to nourish your skin using some natural alternatives. Yeah, there's plenty of natural products on the market, actually. It's just important to not have the ones that have all the numbers. Typically, they are preservatives. So, the very best is the least preservative as possible, or the natural preservative alternatives, right? If you're unsure, there is an app that you can get on your phone, which is called the Chemical Maze. And the Chemical Maze is a list of, and you can also get the book, although the book hasn't been updated, whereas our app is continually updated. It's just a really, really great resource if you're unsure of what you're putting in, either in foods or on your skin. And, it's quite easy. You just look it up, and it has like a traffic light system, so obviously green is good. Yeah. So there's a little tip for you there. Excellent. All right. So that's the skin. And also we want to make sure that our microbiome is working well and is not dysbiotic. So we want to make sure that that is working well to help with lowering inflammation, to help improve our immune system. And by doing that, we're actually going to be helping our body detoxify as well, right? So there are so many different elements and so many different levels. Of course, as well, I haven't mentioned the number one important factor. Who can guess the number one important factor? All right. I haven't, please. Oh, fantastic. Clarity. Wonderful. Awesome. I'll be in touch. All right. So the number one important factor for detoxification. Come on, guys. Who can guess it? I'm going to give you a tip. No? No takers? Waiting for the comments. I'll come back to that. All right, so I'm just going to talk about some other ways to detoxify your body. I'm just giving you guys a chance. Who can think of the number one important factor for detoxification? Yes, Deb, you got the gold medal. Woohoo! Fantastic. Yes, I did give a pretty big tip there, didn't I? Drinking my water. So yes, absolutely. So we want to be drinking water. So my huge recommendation is to get through a litre of water before 12 noon. Now, this is rough rule of thumb. We're all different. But get through a litre of water, even in wintertime, before 12 noon, potentially more in summertime, right? And make sure it's purified water. You know, I mean, I get all my clients, I speak to all my clients about what water filtration system they're using, right? What purification system they're using. I use the Kangen. You know, it's a little bit exy, but I wanted something that was lifelong, and I also wanted a purification system that actually enabled my water to be an electrolyte. So that's because I do a lot of exercise, triathlon training, and you know, I'd rather use water than substances to give my body the electrolytes. Okay, but there are many different products out there, and you know, some are just in the hundreds, and then there's clearly others that are in the thousands, and then there's also water purification systems that you can connect to the whole house. So it just really depends what you're after. I do believe that even though we live in a pretty good country, like we don't have really putrid, dirty water, I feel that because of the amount of chemicals that are put in, I feel that it's really, really important, especially if you have a thyroid condition, and especially if your goal is optimal wellness. So if you're wanting some information about water, or if you'd like a little pointer in the right direction, just type water, yeah? And we can have a chat and I can set you up in the right direction there, just to give you some options, all right? Okay, fantastic, excellent. All right, yeah, Linda, we will send you out the replay, not a problem at all. Hydration, fantastic, Zoe. Beautiful, love it. Great to see you, Zoe. I haven't seen you. Is it Zoe or Zoe? It's probably Zoe. Yeah, I just haven't seen that spelling before. Interesting. All right, wonderful. Yeah, water info. Absolutely, Deb. We'll get in touch with you and we can discuss that to set you up. Yeah, because you know what? Water is the essence of life. Water is for our longevity. And we can be doing all the other things, but if we haven't looked at the water, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, how good are the other things going to be working? Yeah. So getting back to water, we want to be really having about a litre before 12 noon and then topping up the rest before the day. You don't want to be playing catch up with your hydration at the end of the day unless you want to be up all night going to the bathroom. So just a good tip there. And if you're going to the bathroom too much, I mean, look, it could be many things, you know, it could be potassium, sodium is out, you know, there are so many different elements. However, if you're just wanting to just give it a go, just to put in some natural electrolytes, you know, you might want to just put a little bit of a squeeze of lemon, a little half teaspoon of honey, and maybe like a quarter of a teaspoon of bicarb soda and just a little round of salt. That is just a natural electrolyte, right? Who wants a recipe for a natural electrolyte? I think we'll put that up in the group because it's really simple, it's very inexpensive, and you know, it may just be the difference between you going to the bathroom too much and actually getting that water across the cell membrane. Don't get me wrong, there often, you know, if it's a chronic issue, there often is other things going on that we need to look at to ensure that the kidneys are working well, to ensure that your cells are, you know, integral and tight and lovely. You've got a great membrane to help absorb that water across. You've got great mineral ratios, and of course we do different testing for that. However, if you know, you're just looking at trialing something, we can do natural electrolyte. Yeah, absolutely, Linda, we'll get that to you. I actually thought about that for you today, so we'll get that to you. Beautiful. All right, so I think that's a wrap. I've given away quite a lot of tips, but essentially we're wanting to decrease the load on our body to lower inflammation and to increase nutrient absorption. So that's essentially what we're trying to do. And it all starts with centering ourselves and chewing properly, as I mentioned last week, having a really calm nervous system so that we're in that parasympathetic nervous system. You know, we want our enzymes and pathways working optimally. We want our liver to be working optimally. We want our bowel to be balanced with beautiful microflora that actually helps our immune system, helps our mood, helps our hormones, helps detoxify. We want to be making sure that we're getting the right foods in that actually help fortify all of those systems. And if you've got a system breakdown, i.e., you've got digestive issues, you know, you've got unmanaged thyroid symptoms, you know, any of those things, or even fatigue, and you're wanting to really get a more clarity and understanding of what's going on in your body, just write, have I used this one? Just write clarity. I don't think I've used that one. Oh, no, I have. Okay, just write understanding. There we go, understanding. Just so that I know exactly what you've called out for. Because when you know what's going on in your body and you know how to fix it and you understand what to do for optimal health, that's where you can really craft your dietary and lifestyle blueprint and, you know, fortify your body with what it needs, with a treatment plan to get you from A to B, which isn't a forever thing. It's just for a period of time. And essentially, that's where we can really optimize our nutrient absorption, bring cohesion to our hormones and our nervous system to balance our thyroid and achieve optimal wellness for health abundance. So if that's what you're after, if you're tuning in here on the replay and you would like health abundance, that's my wish for every single client that comes across my path. And that's what we strive for. So just type health abundance and I will be in touch. All right, that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this live session. Just give me a heart or a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. And if it's given you some tips and some pointers, we will get that electrolyte recipe up in this group over the next coming days. And we look forward to seeing you next week. All right, that's it from me. Bye for now.